Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the second installment of Zoom In on the Halal Metropolis. My name is Razi Jaffrey with the Halal Metropolis team. For those of you who are new to the series, Zoom In on the Halal Metropolis is a video series where we take a closer look at how the Muslim communities of Southeast Michigan are coping with the COVID-19 pandemic. For returning viewers, thank you for joining us again. Today, we'll be speaking to Hatem Aleidaroos. Hatem is an entrepreneur. He is the co-founder of Qamaria Yemeni Coffee Roast Company. The cafe is located in Commerce, Michigan, the new cafe they just opened. And the roastery has been opened in Dearborn for a little over 2 years now. We'll get a little bit more about his background and his work during the interview. But Hatem, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Before we get into the story of this cafe and the roastery, how are you doing and how have you been holding up? We're 1 year into this pandemic now, and I just want to check in with you a little bit before we get started.
I'm doing well, and excited because we're seeing a little bit of progress as far as the economy opening back up. People going outside, people feeling a little bit more comfortable to dine in and things like that.
Yeah, it must be very challenging to open a new restaurant, food, business during this time. But I do want to say again, congratulations, on the cafe. When did you guys open, and how long have you guys been in business?
We've been in business as far as wholesaling, roasting, and selling our retail for about a year and a half total. We've been open only since March 1st in our cafe in Commerce.
And one of the things I really wanted to get into with you is this kind of renewed interest in Yemeni culture, cuisine, food, and especially coffee. There was this wonderful story about the entrepreneur Mukhtar Al-Khansali from California, who started the Port of Mocha, and this wonderful book by Dave Eggers, Monk of Mocha, and of course Ibrahim Al-Jahem's the coffee shop, Kahwa House in Dearborn as well. That's been a phenomenon, and now you are part of that conversation as well. How did you get involved in Yemeni coffee, and can you tell us a little bit about Yemeni coffee and why is it so exciting right now?
So how I got involved would have to do with those two people you mentioned, actually.
Oh, wonderful.
I seen Mukhtar doing the whole story with Blue Bottle, I believe the company's called, the $16 cup. That was the first thing that opened my eyes as far as like, wow, this is a business, and not knowing too much history about the coffee of Yemen. I knew that it was valuable. I knew general details, nothing specific, never did too much homework on it. No, so when we seen them, we started thinking of wholesaling. And then also with Abe, another inspiration as far as bringing the idea to life, making it a business where opening a coffee shop where people could come and enjoy Yemen coffee, and just really bringing the idea of Yemen coffee being a business model as far as cafe shops. So that was so both of those played a role in any person that's from Yemen. When they see something like that coming from their home country and becoming a business, it's more passion than it is a business at some point.
Of course, that's amazing. And are you from the area? Are you from Metro Detroit?
Yeah, I'm from Dearborn, Michigan. I've been here since '95. My grandpa was here, came from Britain. My dad was here. He worked 36 years in Chrysler, retired in Chrysler. I pretty much went to high school, did about 3 years of college, and I just fell in love with entrepreneurship and wholesaling and distributing. So I would get stuff from China. I would get stuff from Ethiopia, from India. I would occasionally get even stuff from Yemen and sell them here as wholesale. I'm just into wholesale. So when I found out about the business model of bringing something from Yemen, which is my home country, I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna do it. And there's a market for it. And I think once I did my homework, I realized that in the US, the market for what they call third wave coffee, which is specialty coffee, single origin, quality coffee. It's a baby market that's starting to launch in the USA, whereas in Europe, it's been hundreds of years, where they indulge in coffee. They take their time with coffee. They want to know where it's from, what kind of roast it is, what kind of blend it is, the quality of the coffee. Whereas in the USA market, it's more of speed and just getting your coffee as fast as you can, getting that caffeine and going. So now we see more mom and pop shops. We see more single origins. When we go to the conventions for the coffee before COVID, we see international, coffee vendors coming out here, and bringing their products.
That's really incredible. I think you were sort of part of this revival and promotion of Yemeni coffee, and by extension, of course, Yemeni culture as well.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things that I found about your cafe, and I haven't visited yet, but inshallah I soon will. I'm excited to try. Is that it's located in Commerce Township, and our project explores Muslim visibility in Southeast Michigan, which is largely focused on the core of Metro Detroit, so Dearborn, Hamtramck, and I live in Hamtramck, so I'm kind of at one of the hubs of the Yemeni community in Metro Detroit. And so, but you decided to open your coffee shop out in Commerce. So my question is, why was it important to open in Commerce, and what's the story behind how you ended up out there?
Well, for Commerce, it was when I looked at the demographics of like, can this be an actual business where you can open 20 shops, right? I understand that opening in Dearborn, opening in a multi-Arabic cultural, or even, anywhere where there's people foreign or have some love for coffee or tea, I wanted to go out as far as I can and go to an area where nobody knows about this coffee and nobody knows about the history of Yemen coffee, and implement it there and see, is this gonna work? And we've been getting some like great responses. I mean, the quality of coffee does a lot of work, and there's a lot of people that appreciate coffee, and there's a lot of people that really want good quality coffee. And it's amazing. Like when I sit down with the customers and I talk to them about the history of Yemen and the history of coffee, and even how mocha became a term, and even though it's a city in Yemen, it blows their mind, and they really get a nice like education class when they come in, when we sit down and talk. And so I wanted to make sure that this business and this coffee and this idea can work anywhere in the US. So if it works in Commerce, which is a city that doesn't know a lot about the Arab culture, some of them will say, yeah, I come down to Shatila and I love that. So that was the game plan.
Yeah, there's so much more, of course, to the Arab community than just Shatilas on Warren, And so what you're speaking of is really about the quality of the coffee, and the coffee must really speak for itself.
Yes.
And so I'm curious as to what the response has been. Have you been mostly supported? Has there been any kind of negative responses? Have there been any interesting dialogues or conversations that have started through your new business?
Well, it's a funny story because the location that I took over was a Big B's Coffee. Well, when COVID hit, I guess the owner of Big B's at that time closed, and she didn't want to renew her contract with Big B's, so I offered to buy her out. So it kind of already had a place they knew that was coffee, but nobody loved going there because Big B's is all about sweets and more towards the young generation. So when they come in, when we say like truly, and I tell my customers, like, the coffee does 50% of the work for me because it's amazing. It's a great quality coffee. My work is to make you have a good experience when you come, give you great customer service and fresh as possible. So when we sit with them, not even sit with them, when they come in and they drink a cup of coffee, there's always some kind of reaction like, wow, this is great. Wow, I never tasted coffee like this. I could drink this coffee black straight and it tastes like something sweet and nice. And that's just the coffee alone. And then, in that area we do, like, I was surprised, but about 60% of our customers have grinders at home. And if you have a grinder at home, that means you're into coffee,
You're a
you know.
connoisseur, yeah. Yeah.
So when they had that and they bought our coffee, they're back all the time. And that's the amazing part about the history of Yemen coffee. The trees are 500 years old, so you're getting a lot from the history of this coffee and the plant itself and the tree itself.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating part of human history.
Yeah,
And I think anybody that, of course, to make a plug for Dave Egger's book, about, Mukhtar and his story of starting Port of Mocha, it's such a fascinating culinary history, and the history of Yemen, and the history of food,
yeah,
and the history of culture, and of course the history of coffee and how it's been cultivated and brewed. And of course, it involves politics and how the Dutch stole these trees, and
yeah,
of
yeah.
course the Europeans get involved in everything. So
Um, you
so I
know,
highly recommend that to anybody
yeah,
who's more interested in getting involved. And I also recommend for people that go to Qamaria to spend time with people like Hatem and ask questions. Because this is a tradition that's being carried by the people that are starting these businesses and running them. So this is really amazing. I have so much that I want to ask you about. This is such a wonderful conversation. Sadly, we have to kind of come to a close, but I do have a few more questions that I want to leave with. One of the things that we have to talk about is how Yemen has been in the news kind of for unfortunate reasons. More
yeah,
recently because of course, the civil war and the cholera outbreak, and probably the most sad part about it is the mass flight of refugees that have
yeah,
left Yemen and gone to places in Europe, Metro Detroit, of course, and as far away as places like South Korea as well, and East and Southeast Asia. Does your brand, does your company do anything to raise awareness or to kind of push the dialogue around Yemen and raising awareness around it? Or do you just try to avoid politics as part of your business?
Well, in our coffee shop, it's hard to avoid politics when you have a product that's all from Yemen,
Of
right? So
course, yeah,
all our beans are from Yemen. So the story behind Yemen, and anytime we talk to customers, and they know because they watch the news,
yeah, of
uh,
course.
they'll always ask, "So how's it going in Yemen? You know, is the situation still the same? Is it hard for you to get the coffee here?" So we never avoid political questions when it comes to that because I think people in general are on the same issue that Yemen is suffering, you know, and that it's been suffering for a long time, 6 years, and the humanitarian crisis that's going on there. So what we try in a way where it's not too direct, right? We have a wall of charity that we collect paintings from people who are willing to donate it that are artists, and Yemen people that are artists, and we sell those paintings and we donate the money back to Yemen, and that always sparks some kind of conversation with the customers.
That's really amazing. Best of luck to you. I think it's amazing what you're doing, and it's also pretty incredible that you've opened your coffee shop in Commerce.
Yeah,
So, in closing, I just wanted to say thank you again, Hatem, for speaking us today. If you're interested in trying Yemeni coffee in a very new location in a brand new coffee shop, I suggest you head over to Qamaria Coffee in Commerce. If you want more information, they have social media. They have Instagram and Facebook, at least that I know of. And if you're a listener and you have a story that you'd like to share with us or be featured on the Zoom In series, please fill out the form linked below. And of course, follow us on social media as well on Instagram and Facebook. Wishing everyone safety and good health. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
alaikum salam. Thank you.